Just the other day, we discussed and went in depth with some huge inside information on Visceral Games' Star Wars title. If you missed that video, check it out. But today we are going to be looking at Respawn Entertainment's upcoming Star Wars game. Coming from the developers behind Titanfall, this was announced back in 2016. Respawn was to make a Star Wars game for EA. At the time, this project was being described as a third-person action-adventure Star Wars game being led by God of War's former game director, Stig Asmussen. It was also said that this was going to take place in a different era than what EA Star Wars games have been focusing on. During E3 2016, we got our first taste of what this Star Wars game will be about, as a small motion capture scene was shown in the background portraying a possible Jedi and Sith lightsaber battle, which could be hinting to this taking place during the Clone Wars. Respawn Entertainment was formed by Jason West and Vince Zampella in 2010 after a massive legal dispute with Activision. Before being fired by Activision, they were both key senior members of Infinity Ward, best known for their work on Call of Duty. In 2010, following their firings, 46 employees of Infinity Ward resigned, and 38 would become employees of Respawn Entertainment. So essentially, the DNA of Respawn Entertainment isn't just linked to their sci-fi first-person shooter Titanfall, but it goes back to their work on Call of Duty games, such as Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. This is what's left of the real Infinity Ward, and it at least seems like for the first time they are trying something new. Respawn Entertainment has promised that this game will feature larger-than-life action and groundbreaking mechanics. In late 2016, Vince Zampella gave us a better idea of how this will differentiate from their past work, saying in an interview with Glixel, quote-unquote, "I would sacrifice visual fidelity for gameplay experience. It has to feel good, it has to play right, it has to be fun," Zampella says. It doesn't matter if it's in first person, the Star Wars game is a third-person action game. It's going to be more about the character and their experiences. You can see them and identify with them a little differently than you can do in a first-person game where it's all about seeing it through your own eyes. But it still has to be about feel and fun. From those comments alone, it certainly seems that this Star Wars game could be a role-playing experience, something that I think is compelling for a talented team like Respawn Entertainment. Currently, this project is still far from release, as Visceral Games' Star Wars experience, which is reportedly being called Project Ragtag, will be next in line following DICE's Star Wars Battlefront 2. Respawn also has numerous open job positions for this project, so it looks like this game hasn't entered full production yet, but it is expected that this will come around 2019. Stig Asmussen has promised to pay respect to the Star Wars legacy at all times, a fact that will be constantly reinforced and honored as a central game design tenet. He has also said that while they cannot reveal much about this game yet, his team has an unparalleled playgrounded design within, and that they are going to bring a whole new adventure to the galaxy, so we might be seeing new characters, locations, and potentially vast worlds to explore. It's clear that Respawn Entertainment is passionate about this Star Wars title. Originally, they were the ones who proposed making a Star Wars game to EA, to only be denied that opportunity, but fortunately, EA must have seen something afterwards because this is now happening. DICE's Star Wars Battlefront series is a multiplayer-driven experience. BioWare's Star Wars The Old Republic has proven to be a successful MMORPG, although I think most of us still hope for KOTOR 3. Visceral Games' upcoming Star Wars title is said to be similar to the Uncharted series, and then we have Respawn Entertainment's Star Wars game that still lays out in secrecy. Our first and only glimpse of this game came from EA's small 3-minute clip that was shown at E3 2016, and it had the leaders of these Star Wars games talk briefly about what they are doing. As I mentioned earlier, Respawn's clip only was a few seconds long, but it featured a lightsaber battle and also some prequel music in the background only for this clip. Take a quick listen.
As a studio, our promise to gamers is ultimately gameplay first. We all demand that the game has these huge wow moments that translates really well into the Star Wars universe. We're going to deliver that Star Wars awe like fans have never seen before.
And many think that this could be hinting at Respawn Entertainment's game being a prequel during the Clone Wars, which I certainly think is possible. Respawn has said that their game will be taking place in a different era. Star Wars Battlefront 2 somewhat includes the Clone Wars within its multiplayer, but the single-player portion is said to take place between the original trilogy and the new sequels, so while Battlefront 2's multiplayer includes all three eras, it's not necessarily set during the prequels. Although I really do wonder if Respawn could be heading even further back within Star Wars lore. I mean, for one example, I would be interested in seeing the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise come alive.
Darth Plagueis was a dark lord of the Sith, so powerful and so wise, he could use the Force to influence the midi-chlorians to create life. He had such a knowledge of the dark side, he could even keep the ones he cared about from dying.
But it's definitely too early to tell what this game will specifically concentrate on within its story. But I would love to hear some of your theories in the comment section below, so make sure to let me know. DICE and BioWare have already delivered the big multiplayer Star Wars games, and that looks like it will continue into the future, but what we have yet to see is the big single player games that many fans such as myself are hopeful for. Visceral's Star Wars game appears to be the first, and hearing Respawn talk about this project makes me feel that they are as well. Some expect that this will be a huge sandbox game, some think it could be a huge multiplayer experience, and based on Respawn's past, I would believe it to be centered on the multiplayer as well. But having Stig Asmussen as game director makes me think otherwise, and I think Respawn Entertainment's really going to try something different, which is exciting. While most of us have awaited for years the announcement of Knights of the Old Republic 3, that honestly may never happen, and the same goes for Star Wars 1313, which I think looks phenomenal. There is hope for seeing future Star Wars single-player driven games. But while many of us concentrate our attention on Visceral Games' upcoming Star Wars title, keep your eyes open for Respawn's, because I think we could be getting something really special in the near future. Anyway guys, what do you think about Respawn's Star Wars project, and do you think it could be an open world or role-playing single-player driven game? Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and make sure to smack that like button if you did enjoy this video or found any informative value. Also consider subscribing to stay up to date on huge upcoming games like this, and I'll see you later.